Oh. Hi guys. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It is that time of the month again. Yeah, it's that time that we talk about all of the books that I read in the previous month. This month was a pretty good reading month for me. I read a good number of books. Overall, with my ratings, I had a very good month, a very solid reading month. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I got out of a reading slump, because if you don't remember, I think I've posted my April TBR by the time that this is going up. I was not in the mood for reading the past couple of months. I did not enjoy reading, and so the fact that I had such a highly rated month this month, I think is probably a big part of the reason why I'm not in a slump anymore, but also why I'm able to just chug through books. In this newer format that I'm working on with my wrap-ups, we are gonna go over all the books that I started. If I've DNF'd any, I actually don't think I DNF'd any books this month, which is like insane because I'm pretty quick to DNF a book. And of course, all the books that I've finished, my feelings and thoughts. So with that being said, grab a little drink. I'm drinking a iced chai latte. Love her. And let's just get right into it. We're gonna start with the trilogy that kick-started my love for reading this month, that being the Cruel Prince trilogy. I read this trilogy in my latest 24-hour readathon, and this was the trilogy that quite literally made me enjoy reading again. It is a YA fantasy, political fantasy. We're not talking about a whole lot of romance in these books, okay? So if you've heard about these books and you think they're gonna be some romance, there's some romance in it, but it's not the main point, okay? The main point is the politics and Jude being such a cool character. Jude is human, okay? Except when she's young, her parents get murdered and she ends up getting kidnapped and taken to the fairy court. I've always been familiar with Holly Black's writing. I've read a couple of her books when I was a teenager, and it's been years since I've picked up one of her books. They are so good. The Cruel Prince, I would probably rate like a 4.5 to 5 stars. I enjoyed it. However, I did take like a 2-year long break between starting it and finishing it because I started it, could not get into it. And then this past month, whenever I picked it up again, I literally binged all 3 of these books in the same day. So I feel like it's really good, but I don't want to ignore the fact that like I did, for all intents and purposes, like softy and F it for almost 2 years. So this one, it would probably be like a 4.5. However, if I were to go back and reread it, I do think it would end up being a 5 stars. So take that 4.5 honestly with like a grain of salt. These next two though, obviously I can't explain to you what these books are about, but these both are 5 stars. Okay, so you have The Cruel Prince, you have The Wicked King, and you have The Queen of Nothing. All 3 of these books are insane, so good. I know she does have a spin-off duology based off of the little brother from these books. I will be reading those books. I do already own them. I just haven't gotten into them yet, but I will be reading them. Then I also got into The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I've always been so intimidated to start Mariana Zapata books, and I don't know why. I think it's just because she has so many books, and everybody that I have heard that has read about her love her books down. I mean, like, I've only ever heard great things about her books, and so starting them, I think I had like the mindset where I didn't want to read it and dislike it because I didn't want to be that person. So I put them off, and then also I heard that she was the queen of slow burn, and I've read some slow burns. I have never read a slow burn like this though, where literally like if you're going into this book and again you're expecting romance, I don't think they touched hands until like the last 50 pages. I'm not even gonna lie to you, but it worked. We're following Vanessa in this book. She's a personal assistant of this famous football player named Aiden Graves. And he's just, honestly, he's like the kind of person is really short with people. He doesn't really consider everybody else's feelings, but for whatever reason, he can't get her out of his head. And they go back and forth. Like, it's just, as far as a rating goes, I would have to rate this book a 5 star. Listen, I loved it. It was so good. It was so fun. Throughout this book, Vanessa did not lack a spine. Okay, she had a backbone, and that's like one of the biggest pet peeves that I have with MMCs. Sometimes they're so in love with the MMCs that it's just like, girl, grow a backbone, because like you're bending over backwards for this man and he is being horrible to you. She does not put up with that. She does not stand for it. He grovels. Oh, it is so good. It is so good. This will definitely be one that I reread, but I also will be getting into more of Mariana Zapata's books because of this one. Then a reread for this month. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about it because I feel like I've spent a lot of time talking about it the past couple of weeks, but Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. If you guys don't know, I am the biggest Cassandra Clare fan. I read her throughout high school and like the end of middle school, and I literally love her books so freaking much. They're so good. This particular trilogy is like it's the latest in a timeline of her Shadowhunters world. If you're wanting to get into this trilogy or to this series, this world, you don't know where you should start. I prefer starting in order of publication if you just look up Shadowhunter's order of publication, it'll tell you. The main series is the Mortal Instruments. That is my favorite series. However, I have not finished this whole trilogy yet, so I was reading Lady Midnight so that I could go back and finish the rest of the trilogy. This follows Emma and Julian, and I can't really talk about the beginning circumstances of where we are in this book because it is major spoilers for the end of the Mortal Instruments, but I will just say there are these things called parabatai. It just means that they're soldiers who have been tied together through a magical bonding ceremony, and they have to fight together, and there's this looming threat over all of them, and it's super family oriented but also found family. These books are so easy to read, they're so funny, and I love everything about them. That is my Cassandra Clare spiel. I won't go into it again, but just I love this series. That was a 5-star read if you couldn't tell. Then I also read Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This was a very different kind of read for me. It's historical fiction, not in the Kristen Hanna kind of historical fiction. This read more like women's fiction, but it takes place in the 60s, 70s, I believe. Yeah, 1960s, where we're following Elizabeth Zott, who is a scientist. She's a female scientist in a male-dominated field in the 60s, which is a very difficult time for women in work fields, especially STEM work fields. It's about her life trying to be this renowned scientist, and she's super smart, she's super witty, and it's just she's trying to make it in a man's world. There is no other way to put it. I liked it, but the only thing is like Elizabeth as a character kind of unlikable, just because like she has a general disregard of other people, and you could argue that Bonnie Garmis did that on purpose because you have to be that way in order to make it or succeed in a male-dominated field. And there were many moments where it was like, dang, like I don't know if I would have the guts to do the stuff that she did. And it's really good, super empowering. If you know about science-y things and scientist things, I feel like you would probably enjoy this book because it would make more sense to you. A lot of the stuff that was in this book, like when she would start getting into the science talk, would not make sense to me, but I was just there for the ride, so I was enjoying it. Not my dogs walking under my tripod. Okay. So as far as a rating goes, I would probably have to give it like a 3.75. Like I loved Bonnie Garmis's writing. Her writing style for this book was super interesting, and that this was read in what I feel like would be the perfect description of third person omniscient. You're literally getting everybody's POVs at the same time almost, or like whoever is in the scene. You're hearing thoughts from their head, which at first was a little daunting, but once I got used to it, I really loved it because I felt like it was kind of raising the stakes of each scene that you were in. It was kind of bringing the tension on more. It was just a little bit hard to get past Elizabeth's character because there were things that she did that I was like, I don't love that, you know what I mean? But I would also kind of take that with a grain of salt because that is a personal preference. So yeah. Okay, then for our Patreon book club book, I read City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. Okay, if you loved this book, I'm going to start with, I'm sorry. It's not that I hated it, okay, because I genuinely did not hate this book at all. I actually found myself enjoying it in a majority of parts, and there were things that I absolutely loved about it. This book just really did not do it for me. Like I thought I was going to love it, and I was trying to like convince myself to love it the whole time, and I really didn't. There's nothing wrong with it, and in fact, like I said, it did a lot of things really well. Like I loved the vibe and the setting of this book. It was so cool. I haven't read a ton of like urban fantasy, paranormal fantasy books. I could see this so clearly being a movie, and I think it would be so cool cinematically as a movie. The world that Kayla Edwards crafted, I think, was super intricate, and it was really good. Also, because this is an adult fantasy kind of romance type deal, I was expecting there to be way more spice in this book than what there was, especially because of the way that the MMC was talking to the FMC at the beginning of the book. I was thinking that it was going to be a lot more spice heavy than it actually was. I think when all was said and done, we got like 1.5 spice scenes, and that was pretty much it. I mean, it was talked about and it was referenced, and the MMC was definitely lusting after the FMC, but it wasn't so heavy to the point where like it ruined the book for me. So I was very pleasantly surprised with that. The tension was really good. Like I said, there were just so many good things about the book, but for whatever reason, I just wasn't captured by it. Like I wasn't captivated by it. I didn't really care that much about it, or like really any of the characters. I didn't really connect with them at all, and I think that's the biggest reason, honestly, why I didn't love it. So for a rating, I'd probably give it like a 3 stars. I would still recommend it as a good paranormal fantasy type book. If you're looking to read it, I would say go ahead and do it. I think the biggest indicator for me that this book was not for me was by the time I got to the end of the book, I was just excited to get to something else. Like I wasn't sad that it was over. I will, however, because it's the first book in a trilogy, I will be continuing on with the trilogy. I don't know at what point, but I will be reading at least the next book, and I'm hoping that that does do it for me. So like there's potential for me to still enjoy the trilogy, I guess is what I'm saying. The best way to describe the premise of this book is you're following Loren, who is a human, and she is in this world where there's vampires, werewolves, devil slayers, hell slayers. There's a lot of powerful beings in this world, and she's kind of like bottom of the totem pole. Well, she's out with two of her friends one night, and one of them ends up getting kidnapped. She's trying to get her friend back, and she ends up meeting this dude, and he is a bounty hunter searching for her while she's searching for her friend. So it's this whole thing. There's a lot of moving pieces. Like I said, if you're in the mood for a thick paranormal fantasy romance type deal, this one would be a good one to start with. Then I also read one of the last books that I finished was Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. This was one of the most shocking books that I read this month, and shocking for a couple of different reasons. Okay, so premise of this book is that you're following Lucy. Lucy, a couple years prior, she had been convicted of murdering her best friend, and everybody in her small town in Texas, it's called Plumpton, Texas, and I actually don't know if that's a real town. I'm assuming it is. I've never been. I live in Texas for most of my life. There's a lot of cities in Texas that I have never heard about. Anyways, it's this super, super small town, and pretty much everybody in the town has been judge and jury and have come to the conclusion that she did it. Ben is a true crime podcaster. His podcast is called Listen for the Lie, and he is trying to get Lucy on his podcast because he goes and like deep dives and is really influential in a lot of these cases, which is kind of weird when you think about it, but I digress. It worked. You're following Lucy as she goes back to her hometown, and they're kind of going through this whole thing together, trying to figure out what actually happened the night of her best friend's murder. It was good, but in the way that was kind of concerning, if that makes sense, which I know it doesn't, and I'll explain. The way that Lucy's inner monologue was written was so concerning. That is literally just the best way that I could put it. And I don't want to say too much because obviously it's a thriller. You want to go into it kind of blind because I feel like it works best that way. But just the way that she writes, I've literally never seen or read anything like this before. And so it was one of the most unique thriller fiction that I have read. The only thing that I did not like was to me, it felt like there was some unnecessary romance, I feel like is the best way to put, like there was a little bit more spice than you would assume that goes into a thriller or psychological thriller, however you want to put it, which was really interesting to me. I would say that this book honestly reads like a romance, but with the plot of a thriller. Like the way, because a lot of times thrillers to me can feel kind of sterile in their writing and very far away, like you're disconnected from the characters and you're just kind of looking from an outside in perspective. This felt like I was there. This felt like Lucy was sitting right next to me and I'm hearing her tell this story and I'm transported into this book, into this town. So it was really, really good. I read this book in one sitting at my parents' house. I would definitely recommend reading it. The audiobook is also insane. I did listen to the audiobook on Spotify. So good. I think that's also part of the reason why I did love this book so much was because of the audiobook. You get excerpts from the podcast and you have like different podcast narrators and it was just really good. It literally sounded like you were listening to an actual podcast and then it would go back to Lucy's POV. So good. Okay, if you have not read this book and you're trying to figure out if you want to read this book, I would say go ahead. As far as a rating goes, I'd probably give it like a 4-star. Like I said, it was so good. Only reason why it didn't get a 5-star for me was because just some storylines felt kind of unnecessary. So that's kind of it. But if this is any indicator of Amy Tintera's writing, I will absolutely be reading all of her books in the future. And then I also read Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. This follows a small town where a murder took place, and it's not even a town actually. It's like a little development. A lot of the people that are living in the development, they have been there since the beginning. It's literally like, okay, so I'll show you. They have a little map of the development. That's how big this little area is. That's it. That's all you get. These are all the characters, okay? And so it's kind of secluded in this one place. You're following Harper about a little over a year after this murder takes place. Harper used to be really good friends with Ruby, and Ruby was the person that was convicted of these murders 14 months prior. We pick up when Ruby gets out of prison. We pick up when Ruby is out of prison. She moves back to Hollow's Edge, which is the name of the little like development. A lot of the people in the town have secrets. You're kind of figuring them out as you go, and it's really interesting. The tension of this book was really, really good. I felt so unsettled the whole time. Like the entire time I was reading, it was just kind of like you felt unsteady. You felt very uncomfortable, which I personally love when it comes to thriller books, like depending on how it's written. But with this one, I enjoyed it. Rating wise, I would probably give it it like a 3.5 stars. I very much enjoyed it. I didn't have any like strong feelings towards it though. The writing in this book had lines where they were super lyrical and very good, which, like I said before, writing a lot of times in thrillers to me can feel sterile. I feel like it's kind of hard to have a very lively, captivating writing style in thrillers sometimes. And this one, the writing style was very lyrical at times, and it was very pretty. The sentence structure was different than what I'm used to, because usually whenever you're reading thrillers, it's very much like this happened and then this happened and I felt this, and it's very stiff. This wasn't like that the whole time, and I really enjoyed that. Like I said, I didn't really have any strong feelings towards it one way or the other. I definitely would recommend it if you're wanting a fast-paced kind of thriller book, but yeah, nothing too crazy. The last book that I read or finished for this month was Unlikely Story by Ali Rosen, I hope I'm saying her name right. Anyways, this book is on Kindle Unlimited, and I do believe the audiobook is included on Kindle Unlimited as well. That's one of the reasons why I picked this book up. You're following a therapist who is a chronic overthinker to the point of herself needing a therapist. She also meets this guy. She's like online chatting with this guy, and she really likes him, but he lives in London, and she also has this neighbor that moves in to his used to be aunt's or grandmother's apartment, and they do not get along whatsoever. He's just kind of, he's irritating to her. She's irritating to him. You're following along with this woman who is she's pretty much in love with this guy that she's never met before, and she's telling her therapist about it. That's pretty much it. It's just like a cute little fun romance story. It's a short, quick book to get through. But to be honest with you, I would pretty much recommend this if you're just looking for a fun little romance book that goes by pretty quickly, but one that does not take a whole lot of brain power to read about. I'd give it a 3 stars. It was good. I just like, it wasn't super captivating. I haven't thought about these characters since reading this book, so I feel like that's obviously like a big indicator, but I do think it would be just like a fun read. I also read The Girlfriend Zone by Lauren Blakely. I feel like I read at least one Lauren Blakely book a month for like the past couple of months. You're following Leighton and Miles. Leighton's a photographer and Miles is on this hockey team. Basically, Leighton and Miles get real chummy until Leighton figures out that Miles is actually a part of her father's hockey team, so that adds a couple layers to it. I always go to Lauren Blakely's books when I want something super quick, super sweet, fun, romance, maybe some tension, tattooed men, hockey players. The list kind of goes on. I think Leighton was probably one of my favorite FMCs of her book. She was just so spunky and fun. Miles was the nerdiest of her characters, and that was so good. This does have spice in it, so if you're looking for a book that doesn't have spice, probably not for you, but if you are looking for books with spice, Lauren Blakely is always a good go-to. Now let's go into the books that I started but did not finish, so I'm not going to be able to give you a ton of thoughts on these, obviously. First is The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. I have not picked up a Lucinda Berry book prior to this. Since finishing Saving Noah, I want to say almost a year ago, that book actually scarred me. It is, you know what I mean? Just made me clench up a little bit thinking about it. I have not gotten very far into this one. I'm only like 50 or so pages into it. I don't know how crazy this is gonna get. I'm reading it very slowly, I think mostly because I'm scared about what I'm gonna get. Reading a Lucinda Berry book with a child in it, I'm scared. I'm scarred. I'm terrified. Okay, get it away from me, but also bring it here. So I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. I just know you're following a nurse and a doctor, and they get this case of a child who is malnourished. Like, we don't really know what happened, kind of got to the hospital under some weird circumstances, and you're following them. The nurse and doctor, they're married and they want to have kids, and so it's kind of seemed like a perfect fit maybe to kind of like take her on. I don't know, but I'm terrified, okay? I haven't gotten far enough into it to give you any real thoughts on it. I'm just scared. Then I also started Beyond the Break by Heather Bukta, I think is how you say her name. I listened to the audio narrator say her name, and that's how she pronounced it. So I'm gonna go with that's how you say it. For my Christian girlies who are wanting a very like Christ-centered, Christ-heavy YA kind of romance, this book is definitely that. You're following Lavette, who is a surfer, but she has not surfed in a really long time. You don't really know the circumstances behind that, or at least because I'm starting it, I don't know about the circumstances surrounding that. She has her life planned out. She thinks that her and God have come to a conclusion on where her life is going to go, and like kind of having it planned out. And then things kind of change when she meets this guy. I don't know how it's where I left off at, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this book, because if she gets this guy under the circumstances that I'm thinking of, I don't know if I'm going to love it, but we'll see. Then of course I started Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. I only got like 115 or so pages into this book before I put it back down, because I'm trying to go through this book as slowly as humanly possible. So I'm planning on probably finishing this book this month, but like it's gonna take me a minute. I can't talk about this one without spoiling the rest of the series, so I'm not going to, but think like Gossip Girl, rich people drama, British people, like very, very much drama and toxic relationships. But like I've talked about this so much before, so I'm not gonna go like through my whole spiel again. You should read these books. The first book is Magnolia Parks. It's a part of a 5, planning on being 7 book series. I think we have 2 more books for the Daisy Hate series. It's really good. And last but not least, I did officially start The Wedding People by Alison Esbach. I again hope I'm saying her name right. The premise of this book is very, very startling, and I'll explain it and then I'll talk about my feelings so far. Following this woman who books this like super lavish hotel, this meal, and she's going there for the sole purpose to end her life. And you kind of get background story as to like how she gets to this point, because her life really is not going very well. And it turns out that she is the only person in this hotel that is not there for this wedding that's happening that week. And her and the bride meet because they're strangers, and they have this kind of unspoken agreement that because they're strangers, they can tell each other all of each other's secrets, because like I'm never gonna see you again, so it doesn't matter. She ends up telling the bride why she's there, and the bride's like, that's absolutely not gonna happen on my wedding week. Are you kidding me? I've heard a lot of people say that it does not end off very sad. Where I am at, it's still kind of depressing and very sad, and so I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. I love Alison Esbach's writing though. I will say, like, I underlined so many things already at the beginning of this book, so I'm hoping that it's going to be a very highly rated book for me. I do think it has the potential to be a very highly rated book, so we'll see. Okay, that was it. Those are all the books that I finished, started. I didn't DNF any books this month, which is kind of crazy because I am, like I said, I'm a serial DNFer, but that was it. I had a really, really good reading month. I had a really fun reading month, and I'm super excited for April. I've already started my April reading, but yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. I want to know what you guys' highest rated and your lowest rated books for the month of March. If you guys want to find my face on any other place on the internet, go ahead and check all the links in the description. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.